This conference will now be recorded.
All right. Good morning, everybody. It is 9:33, Wednesday, November 2nd. We'll go ahead and call this Killeen-Temple Technical MPO Technical Advisory Committee meeting to order. And then hoping for any public comment. Is there anybody from the comment that wishes to address the K-Tempo TAC? Nobody's online? Nope. Okay. All right, moving right along to agenda item 3. This is pages 8 and 9 in your packet. This is staff update. As you will see in your packet, you have one. And on the screen, we have listed the upcoming K-Tempo meetings. There's nothing really of importance to note except the December 21st meeting. Staff has brought to my attention that is the week that we anticipate there may be a lot of people gone for Christmas vacation. So we will be speaking with the policy board chair and vice chair to see about possibly moving that up to the 14th. I do see the VPAC meeting is scheduled for the 14th in the morning. In coordination effort, we would probably just push the VPAC to the afternoon so that the TAC or so that the policy board could meet the 21st of December. But we'll bring that before the policy board as well and the TAC to provide an update at the next meeting. The other updates, we did receive our federal certification review draft. Just so everybody's aware, there were, I don't have the notes right here in front of me. There were about 11 recommendations and one action item. The action item was to update our congestion management process / plan. We are currently working on that. I have issued a response, sent a response to Federal Highways for the FCR, asking for some reconsideration of that item, as well as jotting out what we're doing to in alignment with the recommendations that they provided. So hopefully we'll have something back from them in the next month, and I'll be able to provide a finalized FCR update. If you have any questions about that, you can feel free to reach out to me or ask me during the meeting whenever. At the last policy board meeting, the K-Tempo board elected Judge Miller from Coryell County to be the chair of the policy board, Councilmember Long from the city of Temple to be the vice chair. Staff are still currently working on the Bell County Thoroughfare Plan. That will be ending December 31st. We're still in the process of completing that plan. Just so everybody knows, we did have a public meeting at the Bell County Expo Center for the initial maps that were submitted. We had 0 attendees. I think 2 commissioners showed up and the county judge, but there were 0 attendees at that. Our next public involvement will also be at the Bell County Expo Center probably, but it will be for the full draft plan, as well as updated maps that we'll be able to provide. The TxDOT FY23 statewide transportation alternatives call for project is now slated to open on December 2nd, and that funding is for bicycle pedestrian infrastructure projects. The Texas A&M Rellis campus tour, there was really not a lot of interest in that that I could get for the November 9th meeting. So we'll be canceling that, and then I anticipate in the spring we'll be starting that discussion again to see if we have members that are interested in possibly going to the Texas A&M Rellis campus for a tour. A couple of things that are not on here yet before I get to the air quality. I did attend the AMPO, which is the Association of MPOs conference in Minneapolis, Minnesota last week. I did attend multiple sessions that I'll be speaking with staff about. I took a lot of notes. I don't know if staff will be able to understand them, but I took them anyways. The policy committee met for AMPO. There was some discussion on the IIJA / bipartisan infrastructure law, as well as a review of a letter that AMPO and the National Association of Regional Councils submitted in regards to the bipartisan infrastructure law, as well as the greenhouse gas performance measures. The policy committee is also working on a strategic plan for the association, and there are multiple work groups that I anticipate K-Temple will be adding staff to some of those work groups. I was approached and told that they were thinking about making me vice chair for that committee, so maybe I'll know something by the end of the week. I don't really know what that entails other than managing the work groups for the policy committee, but maybe that'll come through. The last thing I have on here, and this is just an overall update. Feel free to provide feedback to staff whenever you'd like. We're thinking about implementing quarterly workshops for the policy board. I may have mentioned this at the last meeting. Our workshops not for policy board, but that will follow policy board quarterly. So if you have topics that you're interested in and possibly having a workshop on, please submit those to staff. We don't really know what you feel there may be a need to focus on without your feedback. So any insight you could provide on those would be great. Air quality, the readings were 69 and 66 parts per billion. And I believe that is all I have for staff update. James or Connie, do you have anything? Are there any questions on anything in the staff update?
On the CMP, did they give a recommended timeline when they want?
6 months. 6 months. Right.
Yeah.
And it was a basic update the CMP to show that projects implemented have impacted like they should have. And our response was that, we just did a CMP update, and I believe the information that we included in our update a couple years ago was what they were looking for, but it can be kind of hard to read, I'm thinking. So if we need to redo the CMP, we're more than happy to do that. But I just wanted them to reconsider reviewing some of the information. Maybe there's a better way for us to present that information.
Thank you. Ryan, if I could caveat what you were saying about the quarterly workshops, kind of give everybody an idea of what we were envisioning with the transportation mobility metrics that we passed a resolution that came out of Texas A&M a couple meetings back. A topic like that, so we have a better understanding of what are those metrics, why are those created, to kind of follow along and help both the TAC and the policy board make maybe more informed decisions on some things. So we would certainly welcome any of the topics we think would help us be a better organization. Again, make more informed decisions, not necessarily better or worse, but just informative, and that would be the end of the workshop.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments on the staff update? All right. Seeing none, we will move to agenda item 4, which is an action item regarding approval of the minutes from the September 7th meeting. This is pages 12 through 14 in your packet. Are there any questions, any discussion, revisions needed to the minutes? Seeing none, I will entertain the motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? That motion carries. All right, agenda item 5 is a discussion and action item regarding amendments to the FY23-26 Transportation Improvement Program, or the TIP, and the 2045 Metropolitan Transportation Plan, the MTP, 4 projects. This is pages 16 through 26, and items A through E are the items that James will discuss for action.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Just I think you all know, but quick reminder, TIP is our short range plan, covers 4 years. A note, the FY23 to 26 TIP, which is not official, as what we'll be proposing amendments to, but it's still being reviewed by FHWA. We do anticipate them to approve it within the next couple months, but C, which is the long-range plan, has a list of projects that's included in the back of the packet. Proposed amendments are to add four projects to the TIP, and revise one project that's currently in the TIP. The projects are this is US 190 turnaround, Veterans Memorial Boulevard Phase 2, amending Temple Outer Loop West Phase 1, and then adding the State Highway 95 turn lanes and the Copperas Cove bypass to the TIP. A note on three projects: the US 190 turnaround, State Highway 95 turn lanes, and the bypass project. Those were originally approved to be added to the TIP in July of last year, but they weren't in the approved UTP, and so TxDOT said, hey, you can't add those until the UTP is approved. They were included in the 2023 UTP, which is approved, so that's why we are adding them to the TIP now. And that's a little small, but some highlights. The Business 190 turnaround project, it's 1.96 million Cat 2, anticipated let day of 2025, and Cove will be constructing the turnaround from SH9 to Business 190. The Veterans Memorial Boulevard Phase 2, this project is a Temple project that they received some funding, special funding from Congress for in the amount of $5 million. That will be Cat 10, and then they're also including $5 million local funds, local contribution funds. The timeline of this project may change, but for now, the let date is 2026. The Outer Loop West Phase 1 also received some congressional funds in the amount of $5 million. So there's a lot of highlights there. The previous funding was 10.7 million. The new funding is 15.3 million. And the big changes are an additional 5 million of Cat 10, and then removing a small amount of Cat 3 funding that was on the project. The SH95 turn lanes, construction turn lanes along with SH95 scheduled for let next year, and it's 1.2 million category 2. And then the last project is the bypass, and this was previously in the TIP and then had to be removed for fiscal constraint issues. Or adding it back in. There has been some funding changes, mainly reallocating 36.95 million from category 2 to category 4. And Victor mentioned this project several times in recent meetings, but it's currently has a 2026 let date, but it's ready to go. So if there's funding available, it could potentially be moved up to earlier that year. Here's a schedule, amendments. December 21 day may change, and the public hearing is tentative, and we'll be working on a specific time and location and date for that. Here before, there'll be a 15-day public comment period. Is everything, unless anyone has questions?
Question is more for Richard, is the state highway turn lanes, you guys are letting that project. And when James reached out to me last week, just for all our projects, just confirm the dollar amount. KBA saying, based on unit cost, inflation, they're looking at that might be a 1.4 million award. Can't change. Since you guys are letting that, if it goes over that 1.2 million, are you going to come to us with a bill or an invoice, or is that going to depend on your contractor? Can they stick to that 1.2?
So what will happen on there is that 1.2 line of funding of Cat 2 is a fixed line of funding.
Right.
And then the Cat 3 line of funding is local funded. That's it. Okay. So what will happen is, prior to letting, if the engineer's estimate is over 1.2, I think the agreement's going to ask for y'all to fund the excess revenue. If it says 1.2 is the estimate, but it lets it say 1.6, I don't believe TxDOT comes to Temple until project closeout and gets actual final cost. Because there might be more contingency change orders or else that would happen.
Right.
So we don't want to say, hey, we need this now, and then come back, a year later. And ask for more. So,
Right, it's like, somewhere in that.
Right. So, yeah, as long as the estimate stays within 1.2 prior to letting, nothing will happen until the closeout and settle up the project. So,
And you can keep us posted as it goes through. The sooner we know, the trace to account for it.
okay.
Sure.
Any other questions?
Just curiosity, I guess for lack of a better question, what impact does these projects on the current 26 that we put together earlier this year? Could quickly discern the financial impact. We told $1 earlier this year. I wasn't quite sure I understood how it will fit together. That would be, yeah, I answered that right now.
So I mentioned at the beginning that projects, the business 193 rounds, the turn lanes, and the bypass, those three projects, we had them in the, well, we didn't have them in the 23-26 tip, but they were in the 21-24 tip that was approved. So basically, we were considering those, and we had accounted for them fiscally, and those three are all capped to for 4 projects. So they are fiscally, and those are the only lead right now. And then the Temple Outer Loop West, it's currently in, and for that one and the Veterans Memorial Boulevard, those two, the dollar amounts are category 10, which is a different funding categories, but it's not impacting any other projects. It's not going to impact our category 7 or category 9.
So there shouldn't be a financial impact to any of the other projects. Any other questions on this item? I think that action needed is to consider recommending initiation of public involvement for the amendments to the 23-26 TIF and 2045 MTP.
So this is just a formality since we had done it before, but it couldn't come through because it wasn't on official. Right?
Yes, I mean, we haven't added these projects to the 23-26 tip, so we do need to go through the process, and then the others are being changed. And then once the tip is approved and they give us a window to amend it, we will include these.
These are the projects that the board took action on earlier in the year. If getting included in the TIF, we just had because the EPP wasn't.
They took action last year for the 21-24 tip, or maybe it was the 23. They took action and approved them. So yes, it's a formality, but we do need to go through the process since it will be a formal amendment.
I moved to approve as presented.
Second.
The motion is just to start.
It's to recommend the initiation of public involvement for the. Any further questions, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item 6 is just a discussion item regarding FY 2022 and 2023 Unified Planning Work Program amendments for special studies. This is page 28, James.
Yes, it's been a while since we've discussed special studies with staff. we're working on wrapping up a few this past year. During our FCR, we did get a recommendation from FHWA and also TxDOT. We have some placeholder studies, and they were interested in us actually designating those funds to a specific study. This is just a discussion item, but we are looking into for FY23 allocating those dollars to some specific studies. There's some ideas here, including a voluntary resiliency implementation plan, housing coordination plan, an update to our CMP, public involvement study, and potential MPO boundary expansion study. Nothing is official right now, but we are looking at amending our UPWP December, is that correct? Or initiating an amendment to include one or two or all of these and with specific dollar amounts. Just presenting this for information, but also if there's any discussion or other ideas or potential studies for staff to entertain.
So this would take, basically, it would take our previous resiliency study that wasn't planned and put it into specific things that can be done to improve our resiliency in the Cove region. Having this resiliency implementation plan would also open the doors for some additional funding through federal highways and DOT.
When you say resiliency, emergency.
Well, emergency, and how to, I think one of the big things mentioned in our white paper was, drought and how that impacts transportation, wildfires, and how those may impact and how we can best account for that, mitigate for that, and recover from that. Should our transportation network be interrupted by any of those?
And to add to that, I think too, this isn't necessarily an environmental issue, but some redundancy. So if there is a major crash like the I-14 I-35 interchange is sort of a bottleneck, and if there's an issue there, where are people going, making sure there's routes that people, alternative routes that people can take to get between Temple, up and down 35, things like that.
You're talking like that, sorry.
Well.
One thought, and maybe I'm just latching on. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just curious about the housing.
So the housing coordination plan is a new thing that came out with the IIJ. It allows for TMAs, if they so choose, to do a housing coordination plan. There's not a lot of guidance from the federal government. It is one of the workshops I attended, and DOT said we don't have a lot of guidance on that right now. So if we were to do a plan like that, we would be doing it with our own internal, what we thought a housing coordination plan would look like, and how to, incorporate housing and low to moderate income housing into our transportation network. I think we work a lot with transit, the folks here at Cove on the housing division, as well as the housing authorities throughout the MPO region. Still up in the air on exactly what that would look like, but it's a plan that has been authorized in the IIJ for TNA to use $1 million to create. Yes, sir.
The congestion management plan, maybe I'm just latching, we talked about it earlier, but the last meeting, TxDOT, they will give an update on construction and we're nearly done with Q1. So maybe not a full CMP update, but it might be worthwhile to do a quarter study a few months after the project. It's all cleaned up and people have that time to get customers in the packets, new lanes, ramps. Compare and contrast that, before it was wide, now it's an open for a few months. And then I think that'd be great, to say, look, yes, this is what we did, this is how we were able to improve delay, crash rates, traffic calming, go into it. That's an idea.
Is there the possibility to do any type of coordinated effort with Tow Country Transit or mass transit in the area? I mean,
Yeah. If that's, you're talking about a special study for mass transit.
it's my belief that I think there's concerns about the mass transit, the availability, the accessibility, and the cost to some of our municipalities in what they're getting. And I know that Hill Country is trying to make some advancements. They've got a new management team on
Right.
But it may be worthwhile to see if we can partner with them, providing that as a resource and service to the area.
We can definitely add it to the list.
Then I'm almost trying to buy my tongue that it's gonna come out of my mouth. Let's do it. This really is hard. Possibly studying the feasibility of the electrification, and providing stations along the I-35 corridor. Don't know if y'all YouTube channel much, but apparently, Tesla dude does, and he's predicting that they're going to produce 50,000 electrified 18-wheel trucks by 2024, and Pepsi, I believe, is their first customer.
So that's something we can put on there. And just for clarification on language, I would probably say, instead of saying electrification, we'd say alternative fuels corridor. That's something like that. That way we're not eliminating, the hydrogen bolts or any of those other bolts. So,
And I think specific infrastructure to support
And that's
adopting those alternatives.
and I think that's, we'll look at staff, because some of that, of course, is included in the state's NEVI plan, as well as the funding that the regions will be getting. I think that's all right, infrastructure build out, but there may be planning dollars in that as well. So that's something we'll have to look at, but yeah, it's definitely a good idea, a topic for study.
I'd like to
To see, to make sure that we're including populations that need to be included, and that things will need to be.
Well, and I look at it from an economic impact, because our region happens to be, relatively the halfway point between Dallas and San Antonio, which would make it, very appealing to those, regional mobility providers to congregate here. So.
That's something.
I don't know how hard that was. I'm all about fossil fuels. There's more diesel.
I think, as we continue moving forward, this is coming, and we need to be planning for it accordingly. Whether we agree with everything that's happening or not, if it's coming, plan for it so that it doesn't come without our insight.
Well, even down at the municipal level, the city may or may not have some kind of incentive or prohibit. We don't want to issue building permits for elected hydrogen fuel. That all those policy level decisions. There may be private entities that come out and going to put it in.
Well, and that's the thing with the state's program, they are.
Right. We anticipated what that looks like. And if we can't stop it, and I'm not saying we want to, one way to explain. How do we manage the change?
Right.
How do we adjust to the changing market? You know, we ain't been through before the first person plugs one of these things down on the front.
And that does bring up another thing. If you haven't looked at the state's NEVI website, or you need that stuff, I can send out a link. There's a lot of information on the electrical vehicle infrastructure program that the state has going on, you know, as well as some interactive maps for you to add items to and areas for them to take into consideration.
And I think I'm saying very carefully because I think we recognize that it's a political hot button. All right. People are going to feel strongly about it on both sides.
So I'll caveat what you said, that he's not stopping, it's positively influenced based off of desires of your municipality.
Right. Yeah. But I'm not going to get into it. We could go down a rabbit hole. Let's have.
If you're so boxes for special studies, let's say.
Well, the problem is we're going to start the special study right here in this room.
So staff will add those others to the list for consideration at policy board. It will just be another discussion. I anticipate that we'll have another discussion at the TAC level, the December meeting, before it moves all the way to a UPWP amendment at the December policy board.
Will we be able, I mean, do you think we're going to be able to make that fast on this? I mean, the amendment or something by the December meeting? Is that kind of the goal?
Yeah, we would submit the amendment to the board for approval. And then, of course, there's steps we have to go through from text dot for approval. I don't see any pushback on that.
Is there going to be a requirement to rank, I mean, from us providing some guidance on how to rank or how to prioritize these studies?
I believe that would just be blanket. What is the board's preference in studies? Any other questions, comments, discussion? All right. Seeing none, we will move to agenda item 7, which is the FCR draft report recommendations. This is just a discussion item. As everyone's aware, you know, every 4 years we go through a certification process. We did that back in March, May. We finally got the draft report, like I mentioned in the staff update. So this is kind of a definitive update. We did send a response to that draft. And
Want to share some other recommendations?
I
have it.
James has the recommendations that he can share.
But this, yeah, we can share specifics. Uriah mentioned the corrective action was for us to account for completed adequate capacity projects in our CMP, which they did not. So we're working on that. Their other recommendations were to fully describe the special studies in task 5 of our UPWP. They had some recommendations for Hill Country Transit based on identifying stable funding and alternative funding sources and leveraging some of their section 5307 funds to develop a plan that will utilize that funding better. And there, another project, the job access reverse commute project, it's not really maximized. And then they had several recommendations on KTNPO continuing to advance and update our participation plan elements. So that's the PPP, public participation plan that we have. It also includes our Title VI plan and our environmental justice plan, which staff is looking at all, conducting an update of all of those in the new year. They recommend we continue to engage with Fort Hood. One of the Bobby mentioned the voluntary resiliency improvement plan. That was one of the recommendations that we developed that so we can compete for protect funds, the protect program, which is new from the bill. And then they recommended that we continue to be aware of the latest state highway safety plan updates and strategies so we can continue addressing safety throughout the region. A few things: safety, public participation, transit. Several of them will move together. We can work up a summary of all of those, send it out in a follow-up email. So you can see their insights on which you haven't seen before.
Yeah, I only sent it to the board chair, vice chair.
We'll send out
So we get into some.
after with their full language and recommendations, and they had some commendations too for us. We'll include those.
Questions on that? Thank you, James. Spot. The recommendations. No questions or discussions further on that. We'll move to agenda item 8, which is a discussion item. We do have folks from Killeen-Temple here to provide a presentation summarizing the dashboard.
Hope I wanted to ask whether,
We had a presentation.
oh, cool. Yeah, perfect. Thanks very much.
Pull it up and then you can click through.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, everyone. This is Dan Wilson, Killeen-Temple Associate. I'm here with Carolyn on here today. The purpose of today's presentation is to officially roll out the K-Tempo dashboard. So we're excited to report that our partnership with K-Tempo, we finished developing each of the tools. We are actively working with them later today to migrate everything over to K-Tempo servers. We have published, although it's not a public link yet, there's a website link available folks can go to that has each of these tools accessible and ready to use. So wanted to really quickly recap this project for everybody here. The original project goals, we wanted to establish a user-friendly online web platform that would allow the public and policymakers and staff from across the region to review and the federally required performance planning metrics and other FPO data. And then the other piece, big goal of this was to develop the data as dashboards so that K-Tempo staff can operate and maintain them going forward. So we began with the 2021 last December visioning workshop with K-Tempo staff to decide what we were going to specifically look at, focus on, and build. And then we've been presenting each of the tools at TAC meetings throughout over the course of 2022, as well as meeting with K-Tempo staff via progress calls twice a month as we have been busy. And that's kind of as we started to wrap up, going back to once a month. So been working throughout the process with staff and presenting the TAC numbers along the way. Just a quick recap of the 6 tools we've developed and presented to y'all. First, we presented a crash data dashboard that looks at risk data from throughout the K-Tempo planning region. Then a census data dashboard that looks at American Community Survey data at the census tract level from throughout the region. We put together a federal performance measurement dashboard that looks at the 3 key federal performance measures related to safety, asset condition, and travel time reliability throughout the region. We put together a mapping dashboard using K-Tempo's GIS capabilities that allows users to interact with different data on maps. And then also developed a public feedback portal that is a form-based online tool that would allow users to submit feedback on items related to the dashboard or just general public feedback to K-Tempo staff. And lastly, developed a project viewer dashboard that allows users to interact with project information included in the So these 6 tools comprise the overall K-Tempo data dashboard that we've worked with K-Tempo staff to develop. In addition to the actual development of the tools, our project involved the preparation of several other supporting documentation reports. One of those being the content of operation report. So that one has been submitted to K-Tempo staff and is finalized now. It's the purpose of that document is to develop or document what the roles and responsibilities are for each of the stakeholders, from staff to policy members to IT department here at K-Tempo to members of the public, to support operations and maintenance. Describing how the system components on the back end interact with everything that folks see on the front end, if you're a member of the public, and then to identify what the ongoing software and hardware requirements would be to keep the dashboard running going forward, including related estimated costs, anticipated levels of staff effort to maintain, and potential risk factors that could impact functionality going forward, just so that K-Tempo staff is aware of those, be looking out for those, and planning for those accordingly. We're currently in the process of developing 2 other tools. One of those would be a public-facing set of tutorial videos that would be posted on the K-Tempo YouTube account that instruct users on how to navigate through each of the dashboards. And those will be embedded on the K-Tempo website once they're complete. And then we're also putting together a step-by-step maintenance guidebook that would be designed for K-Tempo staff to provide detailed instruction on how to update and maintain each of the dashboard tools. So we'll be wrapping up this project by the end of this year. Just wanted to go through a few final steps. So we're presenting our rollout presentation at TAC today. We'll stick around later today to do what we call our dashboard migration workshop and some training staff. So we'll be here this afternoon, making sure that everything that we've developed can get uploaded to the K-Tempo servers, and we work with James to make sure that they have the software required to access everything that they need to. So today we're just going to run through that and get things moved over and address any issues as they come up. We have a tentative plan to present a similar rollout presentation like this one to the policy planning board on the 16th of November, but that may get pushed to December depending on staff's preference. We'll have dashboard tutorial videos ready to submit by the end of this month for K-Tempo staff, so those will be able to go on the public website. And then we plan to take the website live, assuming everything goes well, by mid-December. And that last couple of weeks, this guide, which we'll do before then. So with that, if I could request, if you're able to make me a presenter, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and then I'll do a little bit of a demo of the dashboard.
So Dan, it's live right now, but it's not live.
Correct.
So if they go to the link that we've included in the packet, everybody can go through the dashboard. It's just not a public facing advertising dashboard. Right.
You can't Google it, it doesn't exist.
So, you know how sometimes restaurants will do a soft open? This is our soft open. So what you'll see here, this is what the page is going to look like. And this is our soft open here. So, maybe that, if you take a look at the bottom right, is that top.
You can hide everyone at the top. Try to make it bigger.
Aha, all right, great. That works great. I appreciate that. So this is the page that we'll be living on. So if you go to that URL that's in your meeting packet, ktempo.org/data-dashboards, data-dashboards, you'll see this. So you can see here that we've got a splash page, and then there are direct links right here to 5 of the 6 data dashboards. The only thing we don't have linked here is the public feedback tool. That'll just go on the contact page of the website. And then if you scroll down, you'll see descriptions on each of the dashboard tools that we've developed, several paragraphs providing means of an introduction, and then buttons that will take you to the dashboard itself. So I'll just do one example of a Power BI dashboard and one example of the dashboard, illustrate how this works. So for example, if we click here on the ACS dashboard, this is the census data dashboard page. It'll take you to a new window where you'll see the dashboard pop up. It will by default pop up just on the page, but if you want to go into full screen mode, you can just click on the bottom right here, this diagonal two-way arrow that says open in full screen mode. If you click on that, you can get your typical full screen, and then it's just as we've demonstrated them throughout the year, works in the same way. You can click between tabs, you can interact with the data just as you would otherwise. Do the same stuff that we've been doing before. So if I go to a map page, for example, clicking on any of the buttons will bring up the information that you're looking for. So the household by census tract, for example. And you can work with these dashboards here, and when you're done, you can exit by closing the full screen mode. Going back to the main page, I'll just show one more example. Scrolling down to the mapping dashboard, since that uses a little bit of a different service in GIS. Clicking on this button will take you to a similar splash page, but the mapping dashboard, there are 11 different maps of all the data. So there's a mapping specific splash page where you can scroll down and select the map that's relevant to you, so you can use these bookmarks on the top to go to what you're interested to. So for example, if I wanted to go into transportation, and then I'll click on this button to open up the application. That'll get you into the map. Unlike with Power BI, these maps are designed to open up in a new window, so you'll be in full screen on it. And then, as we just demonstrated before, you can click on the map and interact with the map and the ways that we've discussed to navigate. So as Ryan mentioned, this is all live now. And if you just access this link, you can start using these tools and figuring out what you can do with them. Feel free to start playing around with them. If there's anything that doesn't seem to be working, please let us or Killeen-Temple staff know. We'll get that fixed. Like I said, we're just wrapping up this project through the end of the year. So if you see bugs, we can take care of those for you. With that, I'll open it up to any questions if folks have.
Great. Any questions, comments, feedback?
I'll speak for myself. I plan on using this. So
Happy to hear
I
that.
know this has been a long time coming, so it's exciting.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure to work with Killeen-Temple staff as we develop these tools. It's been a fun challenge, but I think we're pretty proud of what we put together. So we hope that it all used. So as we keep saying, let us know what you like. Let us know if you see anything that doesn't seem to be working.
Yeah.
Thank you. Nothing else. We'll move to agenda item 9. This is a discussion item regarding TxDOT updates on major construction and project development in the Killeen-Temple region. We have Victor in-house. He provided some slides. Correct me if I'm wrong, there's not a whole lot to update.
No, in fact, even the topo on the first project is still there. He's trying to get this project to Killeen-Horn, but sorry. It's often Killeen-Horn, they were in the same procurement, they got another project. So y'all did get one. FM93 from State Highway 317 to Weed Road. We're currently negotiating with Killeen. They're going to provide schematic, environmental, and PS&E. Schematic phase should begin around January, February once we finish negotiations on that contract. US 190, this is the Cove bypass. This is what was mentioned earlier. We have a set of plans, 95, 100% thereabouts. It is currently fully funded with Cap 2 for you and the current UTP. We have it scheduled for September 2025, but I'm trying to get this thing let sooner if some of the other districts statewide drop the ball on a large size project, we can slip this one in and get it less than. So there's a really good chance of that happening. Soonest could be September 23, but it's not that it's going to go as anytime between then and the actual September 25 let date would be a possibility. State Loop 121, this is from I-14 to I-35. This is the second phase of what's currently under construction there in Belton. We have a complete schematic environmental. We do need to begin PSC on that. As soon as I have a resource to manage a PSC consultant, I'll get that thing going. Quickest we can have design plans would be about 1.5 years to 2 years once that starts. Right away acquisition is complete. And again, it's also fully funded up to 23 ETP. Next up is I-14 expansion east. This is basically picking up and extending I-14 from where it currently terminates at I-35, running concurrently with I-35 north, and then it peels off at Route 363 until it continues on to where the current Rogers bypass US 190 project begins and peels off. We are negotiating with Parsons on the schematic environmental and PSC on that. Schematic phase it also should begin probably the next few months, January, February timeframe. And on this one, we're going to pursue what's called a design build process. That doesn't mean we're going to get awarded the design build on it, but what that does, it cuts down the time frame on there. And we can go directly from schematic to construction. And basically design a portion, build a portion, design a portion, build a portion. So it cuts down the construction time and the delay time for the plan work. Next up is State Highway 9 access ramps. It's changes for this is within Fort Hood on the State Highway 9. It provides access ramps basically from Texas to Highway 9. We have a complete set of plans, and Keith's group is currently trying to get funding, special funding awarded to it. So as soon as that happens, we can get that. Next up is State Highway 9. Business 190 West exit ramp. This is the Cove project where they would be taking State Highway 9, I guess it's called southbound to westbound Business 190 there in the city. It is currently scheduled in 2025, but if the city wants to take on the peak themselves like Temple did on the 95 turn lanes, then we could let it as soon as we get the plan. Next up, State Loop 363. This is the overpass main lane for Lucius, McKelvey, and industrial. Currently funded at 60%, and it's also fully funded in the UTP. Just need to get it in the SIP. And again, it's scheduled to let November 26th. We could possibly do an accelerated let on that once we have that's complete. Any questions on any of those projects?
On the State Highway 9 access ramps, between the special funding, off the top of your head, do you have an estimated cost of that project?
So I think it's around $5 million. Does that sound right? Okay. And of course, that was pre-inflation numbers, so it might have slipped up a little bit. So.
On the I-14 eastbound, there's the divided section of High 9, or is that already up to spec, or will that need to be?
That'll probably stay as is. Basically, it's bookended by that section, so those will be updated, but that High section probably will not. We'll have to make sure that the curve geometry meets freeway specs, which I believe it does. Our kids
Any other questions for Victor? Projects?
Can you switch to the other? Stephen Casper's not here. He's at a conference, but he did provide a presentation. So I've been informed that I can share this, but I won't speak to anything specific.
Yeah, these slides will be sent out.
Yes.
With our follow-up. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to staff.
And he will be attending the policy board meeting and providing. He told me that there are some more updates he has that happened since he developed this presentation. So if you want to listen into that, we can send that out if you want to get that presentation. Just click through to the next slide. Some information on the 121 widening project. I think they're doing pretty well on that. I think he has some pictures in here if you go. Oh, yeah, this is the phase that they're on where they're constructing the new northbound main lanes. Some pictures. We can go through this pretty quickly. Things. They're adding some sidewalks to 290. The widening project is almost complete, just some final striping work done, and this is the section from the Nolanville Hill all the way to Park Heights, I believe. And then the next slide is the Beltline section, which goes from the end of that previous phase all the way to 95. Looks like most of the work is between the 121 and 35 right now. Projected completion in the spring. Just a picture from the bypass project. They've started working on it. Our new bridges up. The next slide. Oh, so another picture of the bridge. And then there's a couple maintenance projects. This is almost done. This is a Killeen, I believe. This is out past Salado, I think is where I looked it up. Next slide. And then here's some upcoming ones. Some of them are mentioned, I-14 expansion, the 363 project, rehabilitation of 410. We'll send this out if you have receipt. And then you can email Stephen with any questions you have, because I'm not going to.
All right, any questions on the text updates? All right, and none, we will move to agenda item 10, which is a discussion item regarding public input received through October 2022, pages 42 through 44. James?
We did receive a couple more emails from Mr. Dyer about Business 190, so it's in the packet.
The business owner, is that his point of concern, or is he just?
I don't think he is. I think he's just a local person that's not happy with the project, period, and just won't give it up.
No, I get that.
And we will also be presenting policies comments to the policy board, their update as well. Any questions or comments on the comments?
It's quite entertaining. I mean, he uses some very colorful, descriptive language in here. I mean, I never would have made a correlation between a road construction project and a cesarean section. That never would have ever occurred to me. So, kudos to him for that. It's a guy you would. Yeah.
All right. Seeing none, we will move to agenda item 11, which is member comments. Any members have comments?
I want to say thank you. I was asked to, Temple was asked to go out to the AP conference in El Paso and present our mobility plan. And it was an excellent experience. Grateful to be asked, but even more grateful that Bob and representatives from Park Heights and Killeen sat in on the section. So to go all that way and see familiar faces, just a very cool experience. So thank you guys for coming out and supporting me. Glad to show those less.
Was the only reason I was there, hop on a plane, right? Drop it off.
Thank you.
Any other member comments? Seeing none, we will move to agenda item 12. That's adjournment. Meeting is adjourned at 10:33. Thank you, everybody.